I think not. Okay.
1971. We woke up in a different world, where the Cold War ended along with the Vietnam carnage. All because of the Dome. The Dome. A territory full of anomalous artifacts, phenomena, and organisms. We still don't know what it is. An alien city? Some kind of a testing ground or storage? Whatever it is, no living thing trapped under the dome can escape it. Yet even this did not stop the research. The major powers created the Cronus Megacorporation to develop and explore the dome. Its secrets became a lucrative business. The Spire station was built on top of the dome to export the artifacts and import supplies and personnel. The city of Crystal Sands grew at the foot of the dome, eventually becoming a major transportation hub. All this required thousands of employees, and there was no shortage of candidates. Romantics, pragmatists, and adventurers of all trades swarmed recruiting centers around the globe, seeking jobs at Cronus. You were one of those people. In 1976, your application was approved, and you went under the dome towards the future. Whether a good one or a bad one, only time will tell.
Hmm.
A guy wearing thick spectacles thrusts out a sweaty hand.
Monty James, Silverwing.
He glances down at your badge.
Ah, it's you. I found your file extremely interesting, and your CV wonderful. Inspiring, really. When I had the opportunity to look over the files of my future colleagues, I couldn't resist. I don't want to sound boastful, but silver level clearance has its advantages.
Monty makes a ring with his thumb and forefinger.
You were number 63,784 on the waiting list, but you were lucky enough to get into the dome after only 16 months. Besides that, zero, nada, absolutely nothing. You're a dark horse for both the Foundation and myself. How exactly did you end up in this wing?
The silver shakes your hand for some reason.
In that case, I congratulate you heartily. You made the right choice. There are enough miracles here for 100 doctorate theses.
An uncomfortable silence rises between you, and Monty abruptly changes the subject. He taps the narrow illuminator panel with one finger.
Look, there's a storm rising. The lightning is strange. Green. Should lightning be green? This is my first sandstorm.
A thin, pale young woman is sitting at the window, leaning against the illuminator. The glass is slightly fogged with her breath. She turns to you. Her shiny badge reads Tomoko Kimura, physiologist.
We've crossed the border. No way back now. Even traveling by the funicular wasn't so thrilling.
The white presses small hands to her blushing cheeks.
You were thinking, why have no children been born under the dome? I've got a working hypothesis, but I'm not ready to share it yet.
She says softly, as if answering a question you didn't ask.
You see that dark stain on the undersurface of the dome?
Kimura peers through the glass in the direction you indicate.
Oh, that's the aircraft that crashed into the dome during the first expedition. I believe that's a wing fragment, and there's some white canvas. What do you think that is? Maybe a parachute?
The white shakes her head, bewildered.
I just can't believe it. It's all true. We're on our way to meet the future.
Yeah.
A man with a mustache and a blue jumpsuit is standing at the window, studying the construction site below through the occasional break in the clouds. His badge reads Igor Patan, planner. The blue taps on the glass with one finger and gestures you to come and take a look. Seems like he doesn't speak English. Stopping by the door's porthole, you watch as the ground slowly approaches. It looks brown-black through the tinted glass and smoky blue at the horizon. It almost seems like the clouds are pulling apart there. You scan the desert for any sign of the anomalies you've heard so much about. A flat, dark form hangs in the air above the horizon. It vaguely resembles a mushroom cloud, but with a much denser structure. In the distance, you can also see a strange, apparently man-made wall rising from the sand. All the radio ads and TV shows were telling the truth. This place really was made for those who place their trust in science. Just as you're about to move away from the window, you notice a whirlwind beginning to form above the ochre plain. The gathering storm drifts unhurriedly above the desert, a crown of green lightning flashing at its core. Clearly no ordinary weather phenomenon. It must be one of those anomalies. You freeze by the window, unable to avert your gaze. The outlines of the landing site, blurred by clouds of dust, appear behind the greenish glass of the porthole. The capsule shudders as the braking devices engage.
Okay. I've never actually go for that. Let's see.
Come here. Come on now, or you'll miss...
A badge reading Ludovico Nuzzi, scientific analyst, export department, dangles loosely on his clean uniform, which still smells pungently of washing powder.
Look over there.
He points upward with a sharp, wide gesture, and hands you his field binoculars. You raise the binoculars to your eyes. Under fourfold magnification, the whirling cloud above the rust-colored plains looks even stranger. Its core glows with flickering green light and flashes rhythmically, and that rhythm seems to form a complicated pattern. Nazi bends close to your ear.
Fascinating. Do you want me to bring some filters? If we intercept the red and blue spectrums, we'll see something amazing. It's like a signal, some kind of message. I don't know.
Ludovico laughs unnervingly and snatches the binoculars from your hands. With the binoculars raised to his eyes, he minutely adjusts the focus.
It's a massive whirlwind north of Concord, and not merely some desert sandstorm. That's an anomaly. I hope it lasts long enough for me to make a proper observation.
The scientist looks blankly at you, then down at his lab coat.
Ah, this?
Ludovico points at the building behind him.
I work in Concord Station, categorizing relics. My job is to classify them by rarity. Then the blues package them, silvers issue the documentation, and oranges move them to the cargo capsule. Just like the one you arrived in.
Relic, biologics of four-color material culture, usually from human dawn, investigating Okay.
Nazi points upward.
Then the capsule takes the relics way up there, all the way to the spire, then to Crystal Sands by the funicular. They get auctioned off and turned into money. It's not like I endorse this, but we all like ourselves a good paycheck, right?
He offers you his binoculars once again.
Do you want to have a look at the spire? It's amazing. But then you can look at the spire anytime. Now that sandstorm, that's what's truly amazing.
Thanks, but I gotta go.
Nazi looks from you to the capsule and to the landing terminal entrance. He flings his arms up.
Oh, mi scusi. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. You'd better get going or you'll be late for check-in. Your colleagues are already inside, and the storm is growing stronger. Yeah, the storm is growing stronger.
The White mutters in fascination, eyes glued to his binoculars, which is fixed on the spinning whirl of clouds.
Hello again. It was nice chatting.
What happened to Miss Neuenbeck?
Hmm.
Attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Hello, come up to the desk, please.
A tall receptionist watches you from behind his desk with a bored, haughty look. He waves impatiently at you to approach. The employee glances at you indifferently. His upper lip is ever so slightly curled in contempt.
All new employees must register first thing. Come up to the desk, please.
The nameplate, the administrator slaps himself on the forehead.
Ah, I almost forgot the regulation pre-registration greeting. Just a second.
Rayhet produces a reel-to-reel tape recorder from beneath the desk, rewinds the tape to the beginning, and presses play. The speakers explode with a harsh, crackling sound, over which the tick-tick of a metronome slowly grows louder. Solemn music begins to play, and the administrator's face takes on a serious expression.
Dear employee, on behalf of the Cronus Foundation, I, Administrator Dean Rayhet, welcome you to your new life under the dome.
The administrator clears his throat and continues.
By joining our company, you choose the path of science and progress. You are among mankind's best, and we ask that you live up to this.
Dean squints down at the monitor.
Deserve this title. Do your job honestly. Obey the law. Respect your colleagues and...
The music fades, and the administrator finishes his speech.
And together we will build the best possible future for all mankind.
Dean puts the tape recorder away.
Now that we're done with the official greeting, I'll register you and upgrade your Selectron. Okay?
Dean's hands hover over the keyboard. He gives you a nod. The administrator squints at the paper in his outstretched hand before setting it next to the keyboard and entering the information into the database. Rayhet scans the computer screen.
So your position in the waiting list was 63,784. You've been assigned to Magellan Station. A special bus will bring you there after a series of briefings. Please pass me your Selectron so I can update the firmware.
Dean snaps the docking port of your pass to a recess in the casing of his computer. The administrator returns your Selectron.
Cronus was founded as a society of scientists and military professionals. White Wingers have special privileges at most of the original locations built in 71 and 72. And there are still purely white zones in Magellan, too. Limited access laboratories, operating rooms, the morgue, warehouses, some parts of the reactor. I think you'll like it.
Dean continues.
All new employees have a short list of tasks to perform on arrival. Do you want to hear all the details or just the short version?
Rayhet snorts.
To make it short, get your uniform from storage, your weapons from the armory, pass the Psi abilities test, and complete your weapons training at the training zone. Then learn how to use the scanner, avoid anomalies, and properly catalog anything you observe. Last, go to the waiting room and wait for the bus to Magellan.
Dean sits back in his armchair.
That's it. I hope there aren't any questions.
Rayhet claps his hands in satisfaction. He reaches for the tape recorder, but thinks better of it.
Protocol calls for a little welcoming preamble, but dash it all, that's nonsense. Welcome to Concord Station.
As he's about to turn away, Dean suddenly remembers something.
Oh yes, I sent your mail to your Kairos. Check your new messages. Well, that's all, I think.
Just great, Mr. Monty J. Hello. I hope to see you again soon. I hope to see you again soon. It was nice chatting.
That was only the beginning. Around the
Behind the storage counter, you see a small, neat guy. His gingery hair shines with something like brilliantine. His badge says, Sidney Maynard, storekeeper. The silver perks up at your approach. A thick logbook appears at once from under the counter. Sidney puts on thick glasses that seem to age him 5 decades in an instant and studies the lined pages. The silver finally stops and pins down a particular page with his finger.
Now, this is your first uniform requisition, right? You can also purchase any equipment you need for the desert directly from me.
Maynard adjusts his glasses in a businesslike manner.
And before I give you the uniform, please listen to these short instructions.
Sidney fiddles with his hairstyle.
So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Life under the dome can be dangerous. You may get shot, spill acid on yourself, get electrocuted, or suffer the effects of a dangerous anomaly. You may also freeze to death or get fried. That's why it's important to wear protective equipment when traveling outdoors. Of course, in hazardous situations, the equipment will get damaged, and the more it's damaged, the more often one has to repair it.
The silver steps back from his counter to indicate the repair kit boxes piled in the back of the warehouse. He points back at the shelves behind him.
We've got repair kits for this gear. There are Blue Wing specialists ready to help you at any large base, of course, but they're not always available. So you'd better learn how to use repair kits and workbenches on your own. It's a useful skill.
Sidney rests the logbook on the desk.
That's all the instructions. Now I'm going to issue your uniform.
The silver disappears into the back for unfolding the package. Maynard shows you a brand spanking new uniform. Sidney proudly shakes out a bright white jacket. It more resembles a thick mantle than a lab coat.
Look, this is the most advanced clothing under the dome. It protects from acid, aggressive fauna, and radiation. Not very effectively, though. Don't expect miracles.
He raises a finger.
One more important thing. In accordance with Order 16-225, helmets and gloves are not issued, but they're available for purchase from me. Please bear in mind that a full set includes headgear or a mask, jacket, trousers, gloves, and boots.
Sidney hands you the package.
Here's your uniform. Enjoy.
Attention.
Sidney
Attention.
adjusts his
Please
glasses.
handle relics
Sure, I'll
carefully.
show you what we've got.
In case
You
of
know,
damage,
we're pretty
your
well
life will be
stocked here in
forfeit.
Concord. Take a look.
Sidney scribbles something in his logbook.
Please come back anytime if you need something.
Attention, attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit. Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place. Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place. Attention, attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit. Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place. Attention, attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Anything urgent, Mr. Krachkov?
Katarzyna, did you mark it as Class 1 again, instead of 2? Look, here's the scanner data. It says the relic is a scientific device.
It's still Class 1.
The The smell of good tobacco wafts off this tall, portly woman from a meter away. A black lacquered pipe, an open logbook full of signatures, and a metal flip calendar sit on the counter in front of her. A small nameplate reads, Margarita Tkachenko. The woman fixes her coppery hair with one hand and casually lights her pipe.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Her voice is deep and gravelly. Margarita thumbs back a couple of pages in her logbook. She glances at her Kairos, looks at you, snorts, and retreats to the shelves. Tkachenko returns a couple of minutes later, carrying something that looks more like a toy than a weapon. The weapon seems weightless as she spins it around her finger.
I ain't telling you shit about this thing, 'cause that's exactly how much I know. Laser, schmazer, cadmium battery, fiberglass body, blah, 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 blah. You probably know more about it than I do. Here.
Unperturbed, the black covers the weapon she's just put on the counter with her large, soft hand.
No, it is then. What would you like instead?
The woman pauses.
A light weapon, then? Okay.
Margarita disappears into... A couple of minutes later, Tkachenko, she puts the gun on the counter and strokes the Bakelite grip with a strange affection.
Pistols are good. Not for everyone. One needs a special skill set.
The black draws the slide with a snap, pops out the magazine with an almost imperceptible movement, and slams it back in place.
It's reliable. Has a nice heft, too, so even if it jams, you can always smack him on the head with it.
Tkachenko slides the pistol across the counter. Margarita drags on her pipe and releases a puff of thick, yellow smoke.
I see you know the rules and won't cause problems.
Tkachenko tamps down her tobacco.
Nice accuracy, but the stopping power is too low to call it a killing machine. Still, it's an all-around excellent weapon.
The black points at a poster on the wall behind her.
Can you see what's written there? Clean and oil. I have nothing to add.
The armorer shrugs, puffing indifferently on her pipe.
It's the least I could do. We have a requisition list from the Silvers. For free, you receive only rubbish. If you want the real deal, check out the weaponry shop. Or me. Wait a minute. Sign your name here in the meantime.
Margarita reaches under her counter and produces a set of ammunition. Leaning over the counter, the black points somewhere off to one side.
Now it's time for your training. Botherby is already waiting for you by the big gate. He's a bit dotty, but a good man nonetheless. But before the training zone, go see that wizard guy with his toothpicks. Be careful around him, though. Don't let him pitch you a line. Psychic my ass.
She winces in disgust.
Well, you've got quite an aura.
A lean silver with thick black hair and a huge cigar clamped in his teeth is sitting in front of you. As you approach, he flashes a sly grin and slowly raises an outstretched hand above the table. Something really weird happens. All the paper clips, pencils, scattered toothpicks, and bits of trash float up from the table and hang in the air. The silver, you thrust your hand forward, and your outspread fingers emit barely visible sparks of energy. Pencils, paper clips, toothpicks, and pistachio shells dance chaotically in the air. The silver sticks out his lower lip as if to say, not bad, and gives you a thumbs up. The objects clatter back onto the table.
Here for the briefing, huh? Shall we get to it?
He takes the cigar out of his mouth and exhales a lush cloud of smoke. The silver props his elbows on the table.
Anyway, here's the deal. It's more profitable for people with a high psyche to study psionics. Give me your hand.
Not waiting for an answer, he grabs your hand with strong, dark fingers. Andrei gropes your hand with an expression of fierce concentration.
So, do you practice? Bells, bulbs, brushing mugs off the table, huh?
The silver takes a thin glove covered in talc from his desk and passes it to you.
Look, a glove, right? But it isn't just a glove. This is an ooh mama hold me tight glove. It takes energy from your noggin, your psyche, and pew concentrates it.
He counts off on his fingers.
Learn psionics. Put on the glove. Transform energy into the necessary shape. That's the whole briefing. Simple?
Attention.
Simple.
Attention.
Now to your questions, huh?
Handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
The Silver takes a pull at his cigar and releases a self-important puff of smoke.
Psionics. It's a gift for all of us. The forefathers took off someplace. Poof, gone. Only the dome remains. And this. Psionics, huh?
He rocks back in his armchair, puffing on his cigar. The toothpicks again slowly rise up from the table. Mihai spreads his dark hands. Toothpicks hover around his head in a kind of halo.
Scientists say everyone has an organic skill called psyche. You have it, I have it, everyone has it, uh-huh. Big psyche, you got talents. Small psyche,
Attention.
no talents. You'll need to carry a lighter all your life.
In case of damage, your life will be forfeit. Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place.
I'll complain to the Silvers about that.
An engineer in a bright blue jacket.
You're a newcomer, right? It's a straight-up open house here today.
He offers you his hand. According to his badge, this is Maxim Penkovsky, technician. The technician slaps the door with one hand.
You have to wait until I'm done. Some orange jammed up the lock with chewing gum just for a laugh. They're like animals, those oranges, marking their territory. If you ask me, they're too gracious about those bastards in Crystal Sands.
Penkovsky grunts angrily.
I wish I could. I'm gonna have to disassemble, clean, and reassemble it to get it working. It's work I don't need, and all thanks to some idiot.
Maxime extracts a thin, sharp, precision probe from behind his ear and dangles it in front of you.
Though there's another way. You want to learn something about picking locks? It's a useful skill in all sorts of situations.
He looks at you expectantly.
In case of damage,
The blues getting excited.
All right, looky here.
Penkovsky presses his pick lock, and an odd device resembling a hybrid of a screwdriver and a can opener into your hand.
Using a mechanical pick lock is easy peasy. No special skill required. They wear out after a few locks.
our honest
While the old-fashioned kind is another thing entirely.
world a better
Cheap,
place.
one use. But one has to know how to use it right. That's a tool for a master.
Maxime takes out another pick lock and crouches by the door. He gives you a quick lesson on how to pick a lock.
By the way, you can carry your tools in your belt. It's much handier to have them right there.
Penkovsky shows you his utility belt, where he keeps all kinds of tools and gadgets.
Actually, finding tools under the dome is no problem at all.
Life will be forfeit.
There are even devices for hacking terminals and so on.
Maxime hoists up his belt. The blue solemnly raises his index finger.
And one more thing. Always use brand name stuff if you can. Groovy produces good kits. Modus and Supercolor do too. They've all got fat contracts with Cronus, so they care about quality.
He looks at the door again.
Damn these locks. Though I'd rather be doing this than fixing hab pods. Those are a real pain in the ass.
Attention. Please
Penkovsky gives you a patronizing look.
Because they're poorly made, warped from the heat, and the filters aren't worth a damn. The modules were constructed by marketing managers, not engineers. Building a city in the desert was also their idea. This project is all about PR. Cronus wants to show the world how tough they are. I repeat, get a lockpick and attach it to your utility belt. And then, apply it to the door. Yes, apply is the proper. You're doing great. All right, off you go. I'll keep working on this lock.
Welcome Under the
because of that
Dome, an
orange.
amazing excursion to a
Hey-ho.
world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a colorful leaflet.
Endless salt pans in the western region behind.
Welcome Under the Dome, an amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a...
You see a tall scientist in a white lab coat. The man turns at your footsteps. He's holding a paper clipboard and a pencil. His shimmering silver badge reads Sebastian van Olden. He glances from you to the glittering watch on his wrist.
I want us to respect one another's time.
Finished with his unusual greeting, he offers you his thin hand. The amiability in Van Olden's eyes winks out like a light. He looks at you coldly, but calmly.
My instructions will take as long as I deem necessary.
The scientist puts the clipboard. He shows you. Sebastian produces the instructor. He places a canvas. Van Olden pushes a button on his stopwatch.
So, my oral briefing fell within the allotted span of time. Any questions you want to ask me?
The white scowls.
For scanning anomalies and relics, you can exchange knowledge points for medication and equipment as part of the volunteer research program. Are you ready for the next part? The clock is ticking.
The scientist glances at his watch again. He rests one finger on the button. He smoothly extracts a jar of yellow pills from his pocket.
Here's your error.
Sounds like a sci-fi story, but we aren't strangers to sci-fi here. The detailed plans are ready, and according to that,
Welcome Under the Dome, an amazing excursion to riddles of an ancient...
I don't know about you, but I'm sure I'll come here in a year and will feel like a real queen. This is Victoria Legrand, and the dome...
A middle-aged black is sitting behind the counter with his hands in his lap. The buttons and zippers on his uniform are polished to a shine, and even his badge, Winston Botherby, instructor, has been buffed so much it hurts to look at it. Botherby frowns as you approach.
Your first act is being late for the briefing. You going to be late for your funeral as well?
The black looks you over.
Yes, I see the weapon received checkmark. Looks like you are fully prepared to disappoint me. You are...
Botherby leans over the counter. He raises his pulling a notepad from his pocket. The instructor jots down your name.
You'll be lying by a swimming pool, sipping a margarita right on this... Sounds like a sci-fi story.
Wouldn't be so quick. Can't help but say I'm stoked. wouldn't cheer for random chance if I were you.
From the inside. See you next time.
Oh, what do you want?
Botherby nods.
Salt pans in the western region behind me. The sun reflects blindingly from the salt, and the air is as hospitable wilderness, you'll say. And I fully agree with you. But what if I told you that in a
Welcome
year,
Under the Dome,
you'll
an
be
amazing
lying
excursion
by
to a
swimming
world of new
hole,
technology
sipping
and the
a
riddles of an
margarita
ancient
right on
civilization.
this
Listen
spot.
to this information.
Sounds like a sci-fi story.
Please stand by for decontamination to end.
Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
World and new tech-
Van Olden gestures back at the ecozone.
You haven't completed scanning everything yet. Finish the task first. Be careful around the anomalies. Touch one of them and you'll be injured. Toss a bolt at the anomaly. Journal entry. A successful scanning attempt. You're doing all right so far. Go ahead. Keep an eye on you and make sure you don't screw it up.
The detailed plans are ready. According to that,
Journal entry. 2 objects scanned. And again, watch out for anomalies. Touch one and you'll be injured. Toss a bolt. Anomalies, discharge it. Journal entry. All 3 objects have been successfully scanned. Come upstairs, employee.
the dome from the inside. With me, Victoria Legrand. As you can see, there are endless
Sebastian meets you on the platform. He clicks the stopwatch button, fixing the result time. The scientist turns back to his notes.
Not bad. One question. You observed several anomalies while scanning. Why do you think they appeared? I'd like to hear your opinion.
The scientist assumes a superior expression.
I knew you'd come up with something like that. I see you understand nothing about the nature of anomalies.
He glances at the shimmering blue light in the ecozone.
The truth is, we don't know the precise reason for these phenomenon either. We actually know nothing, no matter how much we try to convince ourselves otherwise.
Sebastian points a thin finger at the clustered lightning.
I personally believe that the anomalies are the dome's security mechanism. The ones you saw are relatively harmless, but there are different anomalies in the desert, phenomenon that toy with the human mind.
Van Olden clasps his hands behind his back.
I know you don't care, but I'll say it anyway. Scientists today are required to be wonder workers who can heal cancer with a wave of their hand and solve the secrets of the universe during their coffee break. For some reason, no one wants to understand that fundamental science is always an investment in the future. It produces no answers here and now.
The White's gaze strays back to his clipboard.
If something terrible happens under the dome one day, and I'm sure it will, science will protect no one. That is all. Off you go.
margarita right on this spot. Sounds like a is the dome from the inside with me, Legrand. As you can see,
Technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a
The scientist looks up at you.
Off you go. Glad to meet you. I hope to see you again soon.
But what if I told you that in a year, you're lying by a swimming pool, sipping
for
your
decontamination to end.
Sounds like a sci-fi story.
Welcome Under the Dome,
But we
an
aren't
amazing
strangers
excursion to a
sci-fi.
world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a colorful leaflet.
Ed, spit it out. I can see that something's bothering you.
Well, it's a bit of a private matter.
God.
Employee, please come here. There's an urgent task for you. I'm listening.
The giant display glows welcomingly when you approach. A red light comes on under the screen's steel hood. The camera is switched on. A gray old man with high cheekbones appears and squints out at you from the screen.
Do you copy?
He leans close to the camera, his glasses glittering.
My name is Martin Kingsley. I'm Chief Officer of Magellan Base. We were supposed to meet in person, but unforeseen circumstances prevented that. One moment. I'll grab your file.
He reaches for something out of view and produces a thin folder with your name on the cover. Apparently, your file. Kingsley opens the folder to thumb through the pages. He marks one of the pages with a pencil.
White Wing. You know, I have a great deal of respect for our science division, and I find the people intriguing as well. I shouldn't ask, but how did you come to choose this profession?
The administrator is examining you steadily.
Yes, enthusiasm is good. Just mind the safety regulations and remember any damage to Krona's property is considered a personal liability. Mind that this extends to the research complex itself.
Kingsley closes the file and folds his hands in front of him.
Thank you for your reply. I learned a little more about you. Now I want you to learn a little bit more about us. Keep in mind, this is not a rehearsed speech.
He assumes a serious expression.
When the dome was discovered in 1971, it became a scientific and media sensation, a worldwide phenomenon, and likely the most significant discovery in the history of mankind.
Kingsley drums his fingers on the unseen desk, his gaze focused somewhere beyond.
I see. You were enticed here by radio advertising, telefilms, and all those interviews, billboards at every turn. Cronus wants the world to see the Dome as a stage where something merry and fascinating is going on. But now that you're actually here, I want you to see the real picture.
You can't make out his eyes behind the glare on his spectacles, but he seems to be staring directly at you.
Here's the truth. Nobody was waiting for us inside the Dome. It's neither a treasury of technologies nor a cemetery of the ancients. Perhaps what we're doing now is defusing the world's most complicated bomb. Will our mission thrive? I believe so. If we work together and everybody does their part.
He looks back at your file.
I say, do what must be done. Because that's what the concept of the 5 wings is all about.
Kingsley points at the camera.
You're from White Wing, and everybody else, even I myself, is working to allow you to do your part. But the inverse is also true. People are eagerly waiting for your results, discoveries, brilliant solutions to intractable problems. Some progress to justify all the catastrophes and tragedies that happen here under the Dome.
Putting the folder aside, he sits back and stares at you in silence. It gets so quiet that the ticking of a clock can be heard through the speakers. Kingsley sighs quietly.
You were probably waiting for some boilerplate welcome speech, but I prefer to talk about real-world problems. Glad to meet you.
Martin nods slowly.
I apologize once again for this long-distance meeting. Now, as we don't have much time, I'd like to get to the point. I'm sure you're curious why you were taking off the bus to Magellan and brought here instead.
He moves closer to the camera.
I'm going to show you a short video. Please pay attention.
Kingsley's face freezes on screen.
I have an urgent mission for an employee of your background and qualifications.
Martin noisily clears his throat.
Maybe you've heard about Nashville Base. While preparing the materials for this mission, I came across a short documentary film about the complex. I think you should watch it.
The speakers produce a hollow click. Purple, gray, and black spots flicker on the screen. A blurred title, The Cronus Archive 1971 to 1974, was used in the production of this recording, appears at the bottom. The shadow of an airplane flies across a faded yellow desert. A cheery voice fills the room. Every day, our researchers uncover more and more of the Dome's secrets. There is no doubt the underground structures, so-called objects, are organized according to some pattern. Though early on, the importance of the relics to scientific research was considered insignificant. The desert dims into the black of a chalkboard. White lines drawn by an invisible hand begin to sketch a schematic of the Dome. The narrator continues. By 1972, however, many important discoveries had come to light in a period of only a few months, and the construction of stationary research bases adjacent to the more promising objects began. Personnel moved into Ankara in May of 1972, and within half a year, Boston and Dessau were also brought into service, though the biggest discovery was yet to come. You're not really interested in the movie. Instead, you eye the austere interior of the guard room. The speaker's voice seems to come from a distance. In November of 1973, a massive network of underground caves and a structure of hitherto unseen complexity was discovered in Sector C-12. The camera glides through dim caverns as the silhouettes of bizarre mechanism. The speaker continues. C-12 Nashville is an innovative research complex. The film abruptly cuts out, and Kingsley's face reappears.
The rest of this information is classified. Hopefully you get the main idea. Nashville is a very special place, requiring people with both special qualifications and special clearance level, though yours will do for your task.
The chief officer bends threateningly close to the camera.
I thought I made myself clear. That information is classified.
Martin adjusts his glasses.
So, the task. Nashville base stopped transmitting and receiving signals yesterday evening. A reconnaissance group was sent out earlier today, but we haven't heard anything from them yet either.
The chief officer rubs his forehead.
Normally, I would never give this task to a newcomer like yourself, but I just don't have enough people.
He looks down at the documents again.
Furthermore, the group was lacking someone with your specialization. It has been reported that nearby anomalous zones are unusually active. I suspect a scientific approach will be needed to resolve their communication problems.
Kingsley is looking into the camera once more.
Your task is to get to Nashville, figure out whatever's behind the communication problem, get in touch with the group, and work with them to solve the problem.
The chief officer carefully returns the documents to the folder. You notice his hands tremble slightly.
Go downstairs. The truck must be waiting for you in storage. This task is urgent, but a small delay is acceptable if there's anything you need to settle here first. That is all. Any questions?
Kingsley's hand reaches toward the camera.
Great to hear. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you later.
So, where were we? I hope to see you again soon.
Attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Welcome under the dome.
Why,
An
now
amazing
it's
excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient
Nashville.
Honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place.
Hello.
Attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Come back again. Not now.
Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place.
now. I think it's...
Not now.
Attention, attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Not now.
Attention, attention. Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit. Attention, attention.
Well?
Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Yes, you get out now. Make it quick. Get out.
Remember, our honest work will make the world a better place. World a better place.
Wow. Variable wavelength. Maybe it's a reaction to the scanner?
Welcome Under the Dome, an amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information. Welcome Under the Dome, an amazing excursion to a world
A better place.
useful for all wings, and receive a colorful leaflet.
Why, now it's classified as Group 2. They bring such cool stuff from Nashville.
Attention, attention.
Welcome Under the
Please
Dome.
handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Welcome Under the Dome, an amazing excursion to a world of new technology and the riddles of an ancient civilization. Listen to this information, useful for all wings, and receive a colorful leaflet.
You're a cold man, Ulf. You're heartless. Hey, did you see that storm? Hell, you want me to go back out there? Damn. Well, I guess I'm going back to Campbell then. Let's let go. Heartless, Ulf.
Attention, attention.
Well,
Please handle relics carefully. In case of damage, your life will be forfeit.
Glad to meet you. Bye-bye.
The highway leading to C-12 Nashville is blocked by an anomalous storm, and you're forced to detour over a mountain pass. Soon, the radiator boils over, and you have to stop. Clara lifts up the hood and thoroughly examines the steaming radiator.
The engine's boiling, so we'll have to wait. You do know what happens when a car boils, right? It's...
The Blue shuts her mouth abruptly and stares anxiously at the dark funnel cloud dancing on the horizon. Now that you're on higher ground, it's clear that the storm has overtaken a fairly large section of road. It will be difficult to pass. The Blue looks at the engine again.
We wait. As soon as it cools down, we'll go. This storm worries me more, but it's not an insurmountable problem. I heard there are some relics at the local gas station that protect against anomalies. You could even accidentally step on one out here, they say. Mysterious are the ways of the Lord.
Your companion perks up a bit. She seems to be interested in this subject.
This place is registered as a resource anomaly zone. Do you know what that is? It's when the relics mined there have been studied and deemed useful. Not much is known about these relics. They dampen anomaly fields, even very strong ones. They're also found in other parts of the dome. They're known as bronze apples or aluminum apples. I don't remember, but something like that.
The Blue looks at the storm once more.
There've been more and more of these lately, and they're getting stronger. I personally think it's divine judgment for how we've squandered the riches under the dome.
She sighs and squirms.
I knew people who got caught in one of those storms. They blow up so fast, there's no chance to get away. God rest their souls.
The Blue makes the sign of the cross. Morgan thinks for a moment.
It's a combination cafe gas station called Roadside Picnic. Never been there myself, but there's something off about it. There are several anomalies around there and weird relics. Supposedly, machines and structures decay much faster than they should in that area. But maybe that's just a story.
Who the hell goes there? Come on in. Sit.
A weird, scruffy old man with a matted beard is sitting in front of the checkout terminal. The badge on his blue jumpsuit is long since bleached away. The name Aaron Melville is written there in black marker. With a groan, he picks up a magnifying glass and, peering through it, begins poking at the keyboard with one knobby finger. The computer plays a short tune. "Checkmate," the system declares. The old man angrily sets the magnifying glass aside.
A Grandmaster? You're a piece of junk, not a Grandmaster. And a cheater to boot.
He raises his head to squint in your direction.
Eh? What do you want? I don't advise eating here, and there's nothing to buy. And either way, we're closed.
The shopkeeper rises from his seat, and you notice he's sporting a peg where his left leg should be. The old man throws up his hands with a scowl.
Oh, then go fix it.
Melville reluctantly points a crooked finger at the front door.
Go out there and walk over to the gas station. Go down to the basement. There's an anomaly, a tree. It's glowing. And there are some golden thingies hanging off it. We make special devices from that fruit called anomaly protectors. Should one be laying around on the floor, go grab it, then put it in the truck and bug off to... Where was it you was going to? That's where you bug off to.
The blue starts slapping the pockets on his overalls. After a little digging, he pulls out a little key on a shoelace.
Only take the device, you hear? It's company property. I should be charging you myself, as a matter of fact.
Glad to meet you. I hope to see you again soon. I wouldn't go in there if I were you.
is so weird.
You mean seeing a jellyfish in the middle?
Well, with his gang problems solved, Melville is visibly more hospitable.
I'm sorry for bitching at you, sweetheart. My mood hasn't been great this last couple of weeks. Would you like some coffee? Because I could...
The old man takes off his plastic leg and wraps it on the counter.
Hey, anybody want some coffee? Coffee, come on.
The old man scrubs his bald spot.
That'd be my stand-in, I think. And here I reckoned he'd gone and quit on me. It smelled a stench from the cellar. Thought a rat croaked down there.
Listening to your story, he shakes his head in amazement.
You say it didn't even look like a person? Ooh, I had a bad feeling about this place from the start. Not good at all, I'm telling you.
The blue grunts like a goose.
Well, I cook for myself here. It's, you know, an acquired taste.
You can't tell if Aaron is coughing or laughing.
Well, it's seething with life. People come and go. White wingers hanging around the swamp. One such fella came along today, walking around poking things with that scanner of his. Doesn't shake hands with people. What kind of guy is that?
The old man leans close and continues in a confidential tone.
I used to have a gizmo of sorts. It warmed stuff up better than any heater. And when they saw it, their eyes almost bugged out of their heads. They took it away from me. It's dangerous, they said. What else? Well, sometimes bandits show up. Get pounded on the head occasionally. Not as often as I'd like, but there it is.
The old man gives you a smile of satisfaction. The old man sighs in sadness.
What life? I'm an old man. Life? My ass. Hey, sweetheart. Wait a minute. Hold up.
The blue. He looks a bit confused.
I was just, I was thinking... I wanted to thank you. Maybe...
Aaron smiles. Melville grunts, reaches under the counter and pulls... The old man lays out the bag's contents on the counter. Canned pork, onions, eggs, and potatoes. He looks quite proud of his stash.
What's a picnic without snacks? Here, I'm gonna teach you my family recipe for pulled pork. First, you have to boil the eggs, and then...
Gesturing excitedly, the old man reveals the secrets of Melville family cuisine.
I'd cook it myself, but I'm sure you can do better. See the stove over behind me? Here's the key. Go ahead and cook.
The blue puts the key on the counter, rakes the food back into the bag, and hands it to you.
Do you remember us passing a supermarket last week?
Aaron stares into his screen and he notices you.
Ah!
Squinting skeptic, he lowers his voice.
Greetings.
good one.
Come on, don't be shy. Have a good one.
Salutations. It was nice chatting.
Shit. Strong stuff. I'm so hungry after that.
Clara briefly looks up from poking around the end. A vague smile appears on the Blue's face.
Really? That's good.
Clara slides off. Clara briefly looks up from poking. A vague smile appears on. You open the hood. Nothing happens. You exchange. She gently touches. Sitting behind the wheel, Clara nods to you, inviting you to get into the cab.
Done. Let's go. See whether this gizmo really...
The woman distracts herself. She stares past you into the distance. Her face Clara fixes her gaze on you. She falls silent, but can barely contain her excitement. The Blue unscrews a nozzle from under the block, examines it, then screws it back in place.
Huh? The mission? I missed that part. Sorry. Kingsley told me to take you to your group. They've lost connection with them.
As you approach Nashville, the realization hits you that something is definitely wrong. The boom at the security checkpoint is up, and the turret indicators are glowing red. Black smoke rises over the parking lot.